I agree with Mike's observations. The markets overall kind of feel as if they're running on a treadmill. You know, we're just working very fast, but we're not really going anywhere. And I think that's uncomfortable for investors because they're not really used to what this is, and that's a time correction. Melissa, I think much of the price damage in terms of the correction occurred already in January. So now you're kind of just really running in place here, waiting to get further clarity on the inflationary pressures and on the Federal Reserve itself. I do think today there is a lot unfolding within the market that's positive. I had said yesterday on the halftime report, I was concerned about the selling in Facebook. Would that lead to mega cap selling overall that would take down the S&P 500? But I like, as you described the market today, the cyclicals working, small caps having a very strong day today. And you're seeing sectors like financials contribute. And Melissa, we're doing all of this with a 10-year rapidly approaching 2%. So I think we've got a little bit of a maturation process as it relates to what yields are going to be doing. And maybe the market's absorbed that, digested it, and is feeling a little bit comfortable with the path.
Yeah, even home builders are surging on the back of the Treasury yield surging as well. Pfizer, meantime, is one of the biggest losers in the S&P 500 in the wake of its disappointing earnings report. Meg Terrell's got the details there. Meg.
Hey, Melissa. Well, the quarter itself, not so much in focus. They did have a beat on the bottom line, slight miss on the top line, but it really is the 2022 forecast that folks are looking at in terms of driving down the stock. And that's despite Pfizer forecasting $54 billion in combined revenue for its COVID products, $32 billion from its vaccine Comirnaty, $22 billion for its antiviral pill Paxlovid, and analysts note, and the CEO told us earlier, those numbers could go higher because they are just based on current contracts signed, and analysts are expecting Pfizer to sign more supply deals throughout the course of this year, so that's going to go up. In terms of the availability of that antiviral pill, it is still hard to get in the United States and elsewhere right now, but here's what Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer, told us about how that's going to change and when.
Every month will be better than the previous one. We are giving way more in February than we gave in March, and then we gave in January, way more in March, and I think significant quantity starting in April. So I think pretty soon there will be, let's say, way easier for people to find Paxlovid.
Pfizer is also testing ways to expand that drug in terms of who it's used for, people at standard risk, not just high risk, and starting a trial in kids of Paxlovid as well. So Pfizer stock down there about 3%. Guys, another thing I'll just mention is M&A. They've got so much cash coming in, and there are expectations they're going to be big buyers. Back over to you.
All right, Meg, thanks. Meg Terrell. Joe Terranova, Pfizer over the past 12 months has been an outperformer relative to the healthcare sector. And I'm wondering what you think of it here in terms of valuation. It looks cheap in terms of forward PE. It's about 7, 8-ish or so. And as Megan mentioned, it's poised potentially for some pretty interesting acquisitions, especially given the beaten down valuations we're seeing in the biotech sector.
So I think this is the opportunity for the investor who is not allocated towards Pfizer, the same opportunity that presented itself back in October when the stock declined, and that proved to be a trough as it moved higher into the month of December. You're getting the same technical opportunity as it's pulling back right now to the supportive moving averages. And what you're doing here is you're valuing the base business on what that business really was before COVID, but now it's a business that's going to be additive in terms of the cash that's been generated as a result of COVID. So what do they do with that cash? Do they just return it to shareholders? Do they focus on innovation? Or, as you suggested, do they ultimately do M&A? I view all of those things as long-term positive. And as I said, this is a great technical setup, good entry point if you're not in Pfizer right here.